Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
This is the Legends 34 Sports Podcast with your hosts, K. Reno and DJ Rec.
Alrighty, I guess we are live, episode 23. Let me put my sunglasses on.
Hey, I'm gonna match it in, man.
And what a better time. Houston fan, let alone a basketball fan. I've just got to bask in its glory, right? Wow. Let alone, man, this makes 1 year.
1 year, man. We have done it. 1 full year in the sports world and sports cycle, man. Praying for many more.
And first things first, man, to be in a tribute here, rest in peace. I don't know if we went over this last episode. I don't know if it had happened yet. George Foreman had passed.
Yeah.
What can you say, man? What words? And I know you being a little bit older than me, but the legacy of Foreman in this city, what words, right? Let alone him being such a staple in the community, being a pastor, making sports history with Ali, let alone he came back at 40, help me out here, 42?
Somewhere around there.
Heavyweight title. What a hero, what a legend, what a great person. And then he became a charismatic spokesman, George Foreman Grills. He went on with this celebrity life, man, in Hollywood, was on an episode of King of the Hill, one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Him and Hank Hill almost start duking it out in the mall. But yes, George Foreman, man. What more can I say, man?
Yeah. Think about a young man coming up out the hood, poor, no direction, and then you find boxing, or boxing finds you, however it does, and now this man comes from that to becoming this global superstar, world champion, businessman, father, family man, husband, and just one of the all-time greats in terms of his accomplishment and his personality. So yeah, man, Big George. And he from the H, man, so this is Legends 34. So, we real Houston centric around here. So, we proud to call him one of our own. So much love to Big George.
Yes, without a doubt, man, without a doubt. And before I forget, because I always forget, man, shout out to Nice Graphics.
Yeah.
We did these wonderful flyers and also some business cards, man. Nice Graphics, whatever you need. Poster size, sign size, business cards. He's got you, man, squared away.
Yes.
And I guess we're going to start, of course, with the NBA, man, and the Rockets. First things first, I was watching this highlight reel of their season last night. And it was like an hour long, like, wow, they got the many clips of the year. And, man, I swear, man, I got 3-4 minutes into it, and I started recollecting what an incredible year they had, whether we're watching these athletes grow up right in front of our eyes, like Amen Thompson. Jalen Green really seems to be coming into his own. All these things, like the planets are aligning, like, let alone that, let's go back 4 years. 5 years to make the Harden trade.
Do we have to? Yeah.
To make the Harden trade for all these picks, and they have this vision, this foresight. We can build a contender. and they execute this plan, right? And now here we are at the cusp, arguably fourth best team in the league, and they are in stride right here at the doorstep of the playoffs. Wow.
Yeah. It starts with two things. Once Daryl Morey was gone and Raphael Stone became the general manager, you get rid of that culture of you got to just jack up threes and no mid-range, no two. You get rid of that. Then you hire Ime Udoka as the coach. Those are the two things. So you bring in a coach who is no nonsense, preaches defense and hard-nosed culture, discipline, accountability. That sets the tone. But also to credit Stone again, he's a very good drafter.
Yes.
Outside of the Reed Shepard pick, we don't talk about that right now. But if you look at, you got Şengün and Jalen Green the same year, same draft. You come back, you get Jabari and Tari Eason, same year. Then you get Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore.
Cam Whitmore with a steal still.
Right. So you got 6 picks in 3 years that can really represent being your nucleus, and then you add on veterans like Fred VanVleet, Jeff Green, Holiday, Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams. So yeah, your brother Steven Adams. So all that plays into just meshing everything together, and this guy teaching these young players along with the veterans that we have, teaching these guys how to be professionals and teach them how to show up and work every night. And tonight was just, I almost wanted to cry tonight, man, because
man,
we whooped the team. We whooped the team that we don't ever beat, man. We never beat Golden State. And to beat Golden State in Golden State and hold Steph Curry to just 3 points, hold Steph Curry to 3 points, and the 3 he got was just a last-second heave right before the half. Right. I would have loved for him to have 0 points.
Right.
That would have been beautiful. And Draymond doing all the dirty stuff that he does, man.
This is not normal shooting motion. Like the feed I was watching was the Warriors broadcast. And that's a normal shooting motion.
Yeah.
You don't lead with your elbow into the layup, man. Like, no, that's not.
Look, these announcers, I don't knock an announcer for being a homer, because I want our announcers to be. I hate when our announcers try to credit the other team. I don't like that.
Right.
But sometimes you got to be real. And what I do know, and what a lot of these announcers know, especially the ones who were former players, they know that it's a way to go up into a guy to make it appear that it's a basketball move, but you really intentionally hitting somebody.
Right.
I play ball. You know how to do it without it necessarily looking like you did it. Excuse my blurriness. I don't know why I'm blurry, but hopefully I'll come back to normal. But they know how to do it without it being so obvious, without a wind up or a load up. So yeah, he knew what he was doing, but this guy, he intimidates the referees, and he'll intimidate the other team if they let him. So I like the way our guys stood their ground, but at the same time didn't get outside of their game, because that's really the goal. See, a lot of time when they can't do nothing with you, they try to resort to other tactics to get you out your game. Şengün kept his composure. You can never be happy to guy bowl you in the face, but the focus is to win the game. And we whooped them, man. We whooped them real good, coming off the heels of that OKC whooping. We whooped them. And you keeping these guys under 100 points, these high-power scoring teams, so the defense is strong.
Yeah, you mentioned that Thunder game, man. That was another delicious game, man. Finally, to show that, they're here now, man. They can beat anybody in this league. And to recap, they've beaten the Celtics, they've beaten the Cavs, they've beaten the Thunder. They have beaten these top-tier teams, man. Now, when it comes to the playoff series, we haven't seen that yet, but so far, so good. And again, to point out how young they are.
Right.
They're not going to ever get tired.
Right. Well, and they're learning on the fly. See, Amen Thompson, man, he's on pace to become one of those defensive geniuses in the vein of a Scottie Pippen. I'm talking about perimeter guys in the vein of a Scottie Pippen or old school Ron Artest or Tony Allen. These guys who really understand the nuances of defense. If you watch the way he was face guarding and shadowing Steph Curry, he didn't care about nobody else, because the truth of the matter is, similar to the Lakers game about a week or so ago, where they had two guys to step up, Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent, hit 6 threes apiece. It was kind of going that direction tonight because Pajinski and Gary Payton, the second, they was hitting threes, making us pay. But the key is, if they beat us, fine, we just lose. But you can't let Steph go off of 30 or 40, which he had been doing the previous few games. So Amen Thompson's mindset was, I don't care what's going on around me with the other 8 players, me and you, I'm not going nowhere. And that frustrated him. You could tell Steph was frustrated, man, because he couldn't get away. Even the little screen they tried to set, he couldn't get away. So that was encouraging for me to see that. And it's just one game, but to see that we got a guy who's athletic enough, who's dedicated enough, who's fearless enough to say, "Oh, I can stop this dude. I can. You're not gonna stop Steph Curry, but I can contain this dude."
Yeah, contain.
So 3 points, man.
He put him in a container tonight. If not him, the other help from the Rockets.
Yeah, no doubt.
Big time.
They had a game plan for him, obviously, because I'm a Jimmy Butler fan. I like Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler is not as explosive and combustible as Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler could have went off for 25 or 30. He could have. Draymond Green, no. Looney, no. Those other guys, if they overachieve, the Buddy Hills and all those guys. Buddy Hill seems to only play good when he plays against us for some reason. And I could be wrong about that, but it just feels that way. But, they don't have Klay Thompson anymore, who can go off and hit 7, 8 threes on you. They don't have that team. They don't have an Iguodala and those guys anymore. So when you really boil them down, unless those other guys really just ignite, if you contain Curry, you're going to beat this team. You got a very good chance to beating them with the defense that the Rockets play.
There's some noteworthy, right? Because all those years tormented by the Warriors and Draymond Green, back in his prime. And, as much as you love to hate him, man, if he was on your team, if he was a Rocket, we love him, man, because the guy, he knows how to win, play the physicality, just all the extra stuff I don't like. But the Rockets went out and built, if you would, their own Draymond Green type player. They went out and got Dylan Brooks, right? And then they got Amen Thompson, and they got Easton. They got these hard-nosed, in-your-face, can move their feet, stay in front of somebody, physical defenders, you know what I'm saying? So it's like now we matching fire with fire, basically. So
and the difference is a guy like Dylan can score.
Yes.
Like I think Dylan had 24 tonight. Dylan had, so see, that's the difference. See, Draymond is super smart, great defender. I think even though he does get a lot of credit for his defense, I still think he's an underrated defender. But he's a really good defender. But you don't got to worry about no scoring with him. And that carries a lot of weight, in terms of game planning, where you can lock in. That's why it used to be so frustrating back in the Harden era, when they used to always beat us, because you got Klay, who can't put the ball on the floor to create a shot, and really all you had to really worry about a guy who could do that was Steph. And we just kept losing to that team. So, like you said, now we got the pieces on the perimeter, and it's a so-called double big lineup with Steven Adams and Şengün. And the reason why I say so-called is because, big in size, but they've been running double big forever. When Jabari was starting, Jabari's 6'11". So, but what Steven Adams brings is something different in terms of just that mass to be able to move guys out the way. You're not going to toss and sling him around. So that lineup has really been effective. They've been playing a little zone lately.
Yes.
Because if you remember, teams were playing zone against the Rockets, and it was kind of messing us up a little bit. So Udoka was like, "Oh, let's try that out," and he took it and started using it, and now it's messing other teams up. We ran a little bit of against OKC and used a little bit of it tonight against Golden State.
You remind me of something. When was the last time you'd seen any Rockets team ever in history, right? Pick the other team's pocket at half court and run the other way for a breakaway dunk. Over and over and over and over, like a broken record. Can you remember a season like whether it's Eason or Thompson or Jalen? I mean, he's stepping up his defensive game, right? This just getting it across half court at times is a challenge for teams playing against the Rockets. Again,
you got to have guys that want to play defense, guys who enjoy and embrace playing defense. Amen Thompson and Tari Eason, they really like defense. Dylan Brooks really likes to play defense. So what that does, when you got three guys who have that kind of mentality, he's your perimeter guys, then a guy like Jalen Green, he don't have no choice. He like, come on, hey man, you got to level up. You got to get like us. So we've watched Jalen's defense improve since Udoka took over as a coach and his coaching staff, like dramatically, because now you can go back to switching everything if you have to. There's no liabilities on the defensive side, because everybody is taking on the challenge. And like you said, you talk about guys who with hands like Tari and Amen Thompson. Man, those dudes' hands, man, they getting in there. They're going to take it from you if you play around. When you put them out there together, and don't sleep on Jabari Smith's defense, and his rebounding, man. He been coming off the bench snatching 14, 15 rebounds. He had 9 a night off the bench, not to mention the scoring. So it's looking good. It's coming together. I like what Ime is doing, because what he's actually doing, he's actually game planning these and preparing these guys for these recent games we've seen in a playoff type fashion. He's setting up playoff type game plans on these other teams to get these guys who've never been there ready for what it's going to be like in a week or so, in a couple of weeks or so when the playoffs start.
I text you, man. Is it an optical illusion, or is Jabari growing? Is he taller?
Somebody said he picked up about an inch.
He's taller than Alperen Şengün. They list him at 6'10" or whatever.
Now he's thinner.
11.
He's thinner, so that could make it look like that. But I remember reading somewhere that said he picked up about an inch, and I remember reading somewhere in the offseason that Şengün had picked up about an inch or so. Yeah. So these dudes, you gotta understand, these dudes come in the league at 19 years old, and they may not have been finished growing. But for Jabari, I'm more concerned about him growing, getting some horizontal more than some vertical, because he's a true 6'11", but if he gets a little stronger, I don't want him to get so cock strong to where, he turns robotic, but he definitely needs a little more bulk. So when he does start backing, because he's got that back down a little short post and raise up and elevate over top of these guys, he got that down packed. But to be able to move guys easier, that would change everything for him, and work on his ball handling a little bit more.
Right. And you brought up Jalen, and I cannot forget this in my notes here. Jalen been hot recently. And I have been saying over the course of this show, is Jalen that guy, is he the consistency, right? This year, it seems like what I've seen different. The mid-range game, especially in the clutch, and for all the young basketball player that are watching this, man, that's where you bake your bread, man. That's where the greats, whether it's Jordan, even Dream, you could go back, Mitch Richmond, Larry Bird,
Kobe,
you find
Durant,
that mid-range.
Yeah.
That's where it works. That's the Goldilocks zone. And now I see like Jalen Green, again, not only is incorporating that, even in the clutch. So they can't give him the three, step in, he knocks that mid-range down. And kudos to him, man. And that is what's you're going to need come playoff time.
The Rockets would have a championship in recent years if we didn't have a general manager who was totally against the mid-range, who was so caught up in the analytics that he just wanted to eliminate the mid-range from our game. And because that shot, like you said, that's the meat on the sandwich. You're not gonna always be able to get a layup. You're not gonna always be able to knock down threes. But in that middle pocket, that little 15, 12, 16 foot is always there. So it's good to have guys who can shoot that shot and make that shot, and Jabari shoots it real well, knocks it down. I wish we had a couple of more guys that were more efficient at shooting that mid-range shot, because that's the key. When you go cold, man, when things ain't dropping, you got to knock that mid-range. It's an easy shot, but teams and players are so conditioned nowadays to lay up a three. And if you don't have that kind of personnel, the Rockets are not a great 3-point shooting team. They're just not, so when they falling down, cool. But when they not, you got to be able to get something else.
Right. Couldn't agree more. I think that's about to do it for Rockets talk, unless you had something else.
No. Let's get it to these Cougars, man.
One more thing before we leave the NBA, though. Again, we brought this up again, but I can't help it, man. The big statistician as I am, Joker, man, is going to finish this season with a triple-double, which, Oscar Robertson, Westbrook did it 4 years. This man's 7 foot tall, can't jump 17-inch vertical. But yet, like you said, it's haunted me the whole year. This man mastered basketball. Now, whether he'll win MVP over SGA, I guess that's the debate. But again, it is noteworthy that he is going to finish the season with a triple-double and shooting 40% from behind the three-point line. He roughly takes 4.5 a game. He hits 2 a game. I mean, again, phenomenal stats from a 7-footer, right?
Yeah, from the center position, that's like crazy because, like I said, the two people that have done it, Oscar and Westbrook, were guards, point guards at that. So a guy to do that from the center position, not the points and the rebounds, but the assists. Just like from the guard position, the impressive thing would be the rebounds, because the guard's going to get points and assists. So for this guy to get the average of triple-double, and really, if you look at it last few years, kind of like in Oscar's days, the years where he didn't average a triple-double, he was right close to it, So if you look at it and say, well, man, this guy's 27, 10, and 9, it would be years where he would probably right there anyway. So, yeah, eventually it was going to happen. But, he just a super smart, phenomenal player, super skilled player. I was watching the game the other night where they were down, and he just decided, I'm just going to start shooting threes. Forget all that other stuff, and started knocking down threes like a guard. So he can do whatever he wants to do on the basketball court. That MVP race has tightened. The gap has tightened. But if you go by what they claim is always the criteria, best player on the best team, the best record, then SGA should still win it, because they're like, as great as the Rockets are playing, they're like 12 games ahead of the Rockets, from the 1 to the 2 spot. So, and by those standards, SGA should get it. But man, Joker's a bad dude, man.
Right. I was reading a article too about him the other night on ESPN.com about his defensive awareness. How he knows the plays of the opponents before they even run the play.
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy's basketball IQ is just otherworldly. Right? So,
Yeah, his defense will probably be his only weakness. You know, he's not a defensive guy. That's why it was interesting when I seen I saw a couple of guys, they were debating. I think it was Sam Cassell and Draymond was talking about between Joker and Dream, you know, how that matchup would go. And as I was watching, I said, you know, Joker's a great player, man. I say, but I'm gonna always judge it on who would have the better chance to stop who. And if we could say, well, neither guy will stop, both guys gonna get theirs, but you have to say, okay, when it comes down to it, who got the better chance of stopping who? Joker don't have no chance of stopping Dream. But Dream would have a better shot of stopping Joker than the other way around. So that's how I would look at that.
again, man, top 10 steals.
Right.
One of the things that about Dream people forget. Right, Liz Long, how quick he was. Like, no way.
Yeah.
Like you said, man, the Cougars.
Man.
What a year they're having. This hasn't happened since I had to tell my kids 40 years ago, Akeem and Georgetown, Patrick Ewing.
Right.
And I keep forgetting who was the other player on that Georgetown team. It was two against.
They had a guy named Michael Graham.
Okay.
Ball-headed guy who just dunking everything. You know, yeah.
Or Dream, because Dream stayed that extra year.
Yeah.
To pursue that championship when he got him back there. But then before that was the Wolfpack, team loss. And then I was telling my kids before that was UCLA, right? And the Lou Alcembi will be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they were playing in the Astrodome, right? Wasn't that the 70s?
Right. One of the biggest games and of the time, Elvin Hayes versus Kareem. And UofH defeated Kareem and UCLA, and they didn't hardly ever lose. UCLA hardly ever lost around, and when Kareem was there, even when Bill Walton was there, they hardly ever lost.
John Wooden was the coach, right?
Yeah, John Wooden was the coach. Yeah, so it's like for that win was like monumental. And like I said, they played it in the Astrodome, you know. So you're talking about 50-some thousand, maybe more, when you set it up for basketball, you know, because you can bring more people down around the floor. It may. I got to check that, but it may have been 60-some thousand people at that game, you know. But this is only the 7th time that University of Houston have been to the Final Four, and the championship I think was just the 3rd time that they made it to the championship. So this is big, man. This is big, and so Kelvin Sampson, man, that dude had done such a great job. And
Rockets coach, by the way, those that know this. He was an interim coach. Well, he was an assistant coach, but I remember distinctly, I forgot who was head coach.
Well, he was coaching under Kevin McHale.
McHale.
Yeah, with McHale, yeah.
I believe there was some games McHale was out, and Sampson coached the team, if I'm not mistaken. But
I would have liked to have seen Sampson get the job when they let Kevin McHale go. You know, that would have been interesting. But I just felt like looking back on it, going back to Daryl Morey, his mind was set on whoever he brought in to run that style. You got to coach that style. And Kevin McHale wasn't really into that. And I don't think Sampson would have been really into that. And then you got to have a guy who was going to put accountability on James Harden to play defense. And, you know, I just don't think, even though James Harden, from all my accounts, he liked Kevin Sampson, you know. But, you know, for him to land at UofH, man, he landed in the right place. He's where he needs to be. This team's defense, man, oh, my gosh. That game, I'm watching that game, man, and I'm like, it's over. Oh, they down by 13. It's over. Oh, they down by 6 with 35 seconds left.
Yeah, then they flip the switch. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but see, the thing is, you instill in your players that never give up mindset. They never. I said it's over 8 times yesterday, but I don't think nobody on University of Houston team ever felt like that. You know, when the guy reached over and Tugler reached over and hit the ball before it was inbound, they got the tick. I said it's over, but they just don't give up, man. They just don't give up, and I was so glad because I just know how the sports world on a whole, on national level, Duke is the Lakers and Celtics of college basketball. You know,
the ambassadors of
right
college basketball.
So they definitely wanted Duke to be in that final. You know, just from all that history, all those years. So I was glad that we were able to bump them off. You know, and shout out to Jawan Roberts, man, for the defense he played on Cooper Flagg throughout the game, but at the end, because the stat sheet is going to show that Cooper Flagg had 25 points, but they're not going to really focus on the fact that he was like 8 for 19, 8 for 20 from the field. So it wasn't an efficient 25, you know, but they played great. Cryer carried the team the whole night. When nobody could score, he kept hitting threes and making plays. And like I say, Tugler and all those guys, them dudes, Sharp hit a big 3. Just dogs, man. They just dogs.
What a gutsy win, man, and let alone surviving the. I mean, this is of noteworthy. Again, I was telling my nephew about this, that the one and done rule, right? Yeah. Cooper Flagg you could say might be rookie of the year this year in the NBA.
He should go.
Maybe the Spurs or who would have drafted him if not for. So UofH is playing an NBA player, kind of, sort of, right? Let alone the hype of Cooper Flagg before this year. The YouTube, Rucker Park, dunking on people. Like, this Cooper Flagg promotional boat here has been floating a while now, man.
And he worked out with the Olympic team this summer.
Yes.
He was on one of those. He was in that group that went to work out against Steph and LeBron and KD and all. So he has NBA experience dealing with NBA guys. You know, he's not gonna come into the league starstruck and wide-eyed. You know, he's gonna be ready. And you know, he, like I say, he was averaging 30-something in a tournament. So he's already a man among boys from that standpoint, because, you know, you're talking about getting 30 points a game in a 40-minute game. This is not a 48-minute NBA game. This guy was averaging 30 points a game and probably playing 30-something minutes with whatever time he sits on the bench. So he's already that guy. He's already polished, and he probably will be the first pick unless it's somebody in college I'm forgetting about. So, yeah, I wouldn't come back, but it wouldn't surprise me if he just felt like, man, unfinished business. We can do it next year and come back. Because the difference is these guys are not necessarily, they don't need the money like back in the days. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got the NIL deals and all this stuff here now where
the portal and all that.
Cooper Flagg may already be a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he is. So from his mindset, it may not be such a rush to go to the league, but from a financial standpoint, but just from a standpoint of like, hey, I'm ready to be an NBA player, then he's probably gone.
Wouldn't that be something to rock his luck up in the lottery? And
well, that needed to happen last year. Now think about
something.
All these years we've been getting the 2, the 3, the 2, the 3, the 3, the 2. Now, if this was last year and Cooper Flagg was in last year's draft and we got the number 3 pick in the ping pong balls land, and we somehow he falls into our lap somehow, then that would have been cool. But, you know, somebody's going to get him. It'll be a lottery team. Washington's probably the worst team in the league. Then you got Charlotte, then, you know, teams like that, you know. So he'll end up on some lottery team, or if somebody like a higher level lottery team, like the Spurs or something, if them balls bounce the wrong way, if the league decides to rig it up, you never know, man. You never know.
I mean, time will tell, but it's good to know that we have those picks still in the arsenal, right? Those trades that were made back during the Harden debacle, or whatever you want to call it. But
and I'm gonna say this too, just back to the college. U of H has to be very careful to not get caught in the mindset of looking at that Duke win as the championship. Because Florida's tough. You know, everybody had Auburn to beat Florida. Well, not everybody, but a few people had Auburn.
Bigs for one.
Yeah. And but U of H surprised me because Duke is big. That big 7-foot guy, Malawach, and flag, their wings are big. You know, so don't get complacent behind the semifinal when you got to win this last game. And I know Kevin Sampson is definitely instilling that in them. We got one more game to win. You know, don't get happy behind that. That's in the past now. It means, I won't say it means nothing if you lose, but it's not as big because, number one, University of Houston played 2 games prior to yesterday's win against Duke, where they were basically road games. You know, they played in Indianapolis against Purdue.
Right.
You know, and Purdue was in Indiana, so that was like a road game. And then when they played Tennessee, there were more fans for Tennessee there. So now you get to San Antonio. Okay, this is like a home game, even though they're gonna bust in a lot of Duke fans and should be a lot of Florida fans there. But man, in that Alamo Dome tomorrow, that should be like a home game. So we gotta bring it home. We gotta be ready, man.
It's cool. It's in Texas, man. That's great.
Yeah. And it usually is. They usually do the Final Four in San Antonio, or they've done it down here and all that. So, you know, for some reason, Texas is just a preferred spot to do it. But both teams are game planning. Florida got a guard that's amazing, Clayton.
Yeah, he's going probably
him and Cryer, man. That's going to be a cool matchup. So they're going to have to figure something out to deal with that guy, and just be ready, man. But what we saw yesterday, we know they're not going to quit. It don't matter what the score is or the time on the clock, they're not going to quit. I just would like to see them play with a lead, or not put so much cardiac pressure on the fan base this go round.
And I can't forget, man, how this is noteworthy, right? But a juncture of the U of H basketball and stats, as we love, right? Man, once opportunity arose in Philadelphia for Quentin Grimes, I've been watching this. Wow, he is ignited. He's been averaging almost 27 a game for the rest of the season, man. That's good to see a U of H alumni find a home, maybe. I don't know what Paul George is going to do. They've shelved Maxey for the year. You know about the Embiid issue, but Quentin Grimes heard opportunity knock, and he opened the door, man. Let alone that game against Houston. I believe he had 40.
And he had a couple of strong games before that Houston game. See, look, and this might sound crazy to a lot of people. If they were smart, they would go ahead on and divorce from Paul George if they can. I don't know how the deal is set up, and build this thing around Maxey, Quentin Grimes, and hopefully Embiid trying to get healthy. Because because this guy, it's always been said that any NBA player, even if you're the 12th man on the bench, if given the minutes, you'll get the numbers for the most part. So his success is a product of injuries and opportunity. So at the end of the day, when you can show that you can score, basically, like you said, average 25 points over a long stretch of games, that says to me you're the real deal. So now you got Maxey. Now you got Maxey's going to get you 25 to 30. Embiid's going to get you 25, 30 if he's out there. And now you got this third guy, and Grimes is younger. Hey, man, move on from Paul George and just go with that, man. Just go with that, because a guy like Paul George may not be willing to come off the bench, but what Quentin Grimes has done for himself, if nothing else, because it might not be in Philly, but he just made himself a lot of money. He played his way into some money, guaranteed, because teams are watching, and the dude can shoot the lights out. He looks bigger than what I thought he was, because we played against the Rockets. I said, he looks big.
Yeah.
I don't know how big he is, but he paid himself this year.
Go Cougs, man. That's good to see that now this team's doing well. And then just like back in the days, Akeem, Clyde, these great U of H players filter down to the NBA. And now hopefully it's a renaissance, if you will.
We got a few Cougars in the league now. Because, Marcus Sasser's with Detroit. Jarris Walker's with Indiana. And like you say, Quentin Grimes is with Philly. So we back to the days where we actually seeing Cougars in the league. But again, it goes back to the coaching. It goes back to the culture, because all those years where we wasn't was based around the team not winning. And when you're not winning, you're not getting good recruiting. And no recruiting means no good players. No good players means there ain't going to be nobody in the league from that university. So now everything is a domino effect. You got the coaching, you got the culture. Forget this year. U of H has been in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 and the Final Four over the duration of Sampson's time on as a coach. So when you get that far into the tournament every year, you have national spotlight on you every year in March. You're going to have some good players that NBA teams look at and say, okay, we're going to draft these dudes. I just wish, my only hope moving forward for U of H is we got to find some big guys. We got to find some 7-footers, man. If they can win this national championship with a bunch of 6'7", 6'8" big men, granted they got 7-foot wingspans, but man, we got to find us some of them 7', 7'2" dudes too to make it a lot easier.
It's also noteworthy, right? One of those U of H players is Master P's son.
I haven't seen him. Is he still on the roster?
I believe so. It said something about they're not allowed to play any Master P music in the locker room or something. Or
yeah, I'm gonna check the roster because I know he didn't play yesterday. And I'm gonna check the roster just to see is he a freshman?
I think so. Yes.
He may be. I don't know if he's played this year. I haven't saw him, but before I say something, I'm just gonna check and see what the deal is with him. Yeah.
That's always cool, man. Rap crosses over into the professional sports.
Look, Master P played in the pros, regardless of people say, well, he just played a few preseason games. Hey, man, that's better than a whole lot of other people who have
jump shot, I'll tell you that.
All their life have done. Master P made it on a preseason roster in the NBA and played and didn't look out of place. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing, he out there, he falling down, can't keep up. He didn't look out of place. So yeah, it's in the blood and the DNA of his seeds, all the way from to Romeo.
He played for U of H?
I think he did.
Percy Miller, yeah.
I heard him mention that he played for University of Houston, but my thing is, it's in the blood. They got hoop in their blood just as much as music. So yeah, shout out to Master P, Mercy, and all of them, man.
Well, that's awesome. I guess we switch gears from basketball, unless you got something else on the agenda here. Have I missed it?
No, just hopefully we can get that win tomorrow. Hopefully the Rockets can clinch that 2 seed. There's 3 games left. West Coast trip, we got Clippers Wednesday, Lakers Friday, and then at home against Denver. So I'm assuming that if we win one and the Lakers lose one, because if the Rockets lose out and the Lakers went out, they could technically get to that spot and take that spot from us because they would have a tiebreaker. They would have a tiebreaker. So we got to win. I would think we got to win one more and they lose one more, if I'm doing the math right, to clinch the 2 seed, So
if you clinch that 2 seed, you're looking at either Clippers.
Well, it depends on how the play-in goes.
That first round matchup.
Yeah, it depends on how the play-in goes because we face the number 7. But 7 through 10 is the play-in, and that could shuffle. So you never know. Red's lined up right now saying Minnesota at the 7. But once you do the play-in, something happens and Minnesota gets knocked out, then it could be whoever down at that bottom part down there. So we just got to wait and see. But, whoever that 7 seed, it's not going to be easy for the Rockets, whoever they play. Because just say they do catch Minnesota in the first round, that's going to be tough, with Ant-Man and Nas Reed and Gobert in the middle. And it's not going to be no guaranteed just normally first round or 2 seed, 1 seed, 2 seed. We good. That's going to be good. Hey, it ain't going to be promised. So, they better be ready,
We will see how things unfold in NBA playoffs, but it's lovely that they are in the position they are as a Rockets fan. It's just absolutely incredible that they've, again, kudos to the management, coaching staff, and these young players having, arguably one of the greatest Rocket regular seasons in NBA Rockets history. So
in a while, yeah. Yeah. Since we started playoffs. Like, wow.
Right. Too long.
Years. Yeah.
On to football, man. The Texans, we've been following all these moves they've made, which I give kudos to again, management. It's when you're not doing anything, it's like usually the Texans do, right? It worries me. They made a conscious effort, it looks like, to retooling this team, whether it's for good or bad, is going to be seen out on the field. But they went out and got Trent Brown, arguably one of the biggest individuals in the NFL. I mean, he's a little in this end of his career. He won, I believe, with the Patriots, I believe. But they went out and got another defensive lineman, another edge rusher, I believe, who that is. They went out and got the Colts linebacker who led the team in tackles. They have now, we all know about the safety that they acquired from the Eagles. They went out, got a Christian Kirk receiver from the Jaguars. Again, these are just off the top of my head. There's been some other acquisitions they've made, let alone with the new offensive coach. Again, they're trying. It'd be one thing if they stayed pat and say, hey, what we got is good. We made it this far in the playoffs. No, it looks like they went back to, in some regards, to the drawing board and said, no, we need to retool this area, mainly the offensive line.
Yeah, because that's where I was going. I don't see nothing they doing on the offensive line.
We'll see how things unfold.
Some of the guys, a couple of guys they got were rated worse offensive linemen than the ones we got rid of. So that's scary. I've seen a lot of the moves they made on offense and defense, but they're not doing enough on that line. And it's not going to matter what they do on those other sides of the ball if they don't get that line together, man. Or those other positions, if they don't get that line together, it's not going to matter. This dude going to be running for his life and on his back 6-7 times a game. And I don't know what's left out there or what deals can be made, but they better fix that line. It's not going to work if they don't.
And again, I'm not a man of excuses, but from what little they've been able to contain out of that locker room, what has leaked, that there was turmoil along that offensive line, back and forth. We don't know what players, what coaching, members of the coaching staff, but evidently what was going on was a combustible environment, and maybe this was a way to just, again, go back to the drawing board and it's like, hey, we got to get these players out of here. We're just going to rebuild offensive line. Again, if it's in the right direction, it remains to be seen. I guess it's an asterisk. But again, what they're going to do in the draft, we don't know. But I don't know but Are you glad that they're making all these changes?
Well, if change equals improvement, then yeah, because what you're trying to do as a team, you're trying to level up to Baltimore. You're trying to level up with Kansas City. You're trying to level up with Buffalo. So you're not getting knocked out in the second round, because you can't beat those three teams that are currently ahead of you as far as being a better team. But the way to level up, because I got complete faith in D'Amico in terms of, especially on the defensive end. He's a defensive guy, so I know he's going to make sure the defense is on point. And what they did starting last season showed me that they really was focused on becoming a high-powered offensive team when you add Stephon Diggs to Nico Collins and Tank Dell, then you sign Joe Mixon. Now they're like, okay, they trying to be a potent offense, so they want that balance. Didn't work out because of injuries to Diggs and then Tank later on. But again, change is cool if it's improvement. That line has to improve dramatically, because we know what CJ can do if he got time to throw. But if he don't have time to throw, man, nothing's going to matter. It's not going to matter how good your defense, because your defense can only hold so long. I watch how great that defense was. I watched how great they played against Kansas City, the game they lost. But it would have been great if our guy would have had a little more time to survey and pick you apart and do that, because we saw what happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl when the Eagles hit them with a balanced attack of offense and defense where they sacked Mahomes 8 times. We can duplicate that defensive effort, but not gonna do no good if we got 9 points. So we'll see.
You hit it on the head, man. Eagles equals offensive line, if not the greatest line in the league.
That's where it starts.
Have you been following this? So good they're gonna try to get rid of the tush push.
Yeah, they hating because
Unbelievable.
you're gonna penalize a team because they do something better than everybody else does it, but it's not illegal for everybody else to do it. So now they're trying to get rid of the tush push and all that, man. I mean, it's really comical, because it's like if the Eagles were not as efficient with it, they wouldn't be making a big deal out of it. It's crazy. You do if it's legal, everybody do it then. What's the problem?
You would think, man, isn't this the blueprint of how to win football?
Well, I mean, you got the personnel to be better at it than other teams. So that's the main factor in it. But don't penalize us because we have the personnel to be better at it. Why you penalize? That's like saying, okay, man, we got Shaq. It's like, well, no, Shaq can only dunk 1 time per half. If he dunks over 2 times a game, and then that's the technical foul. It's like, nah, you find a way to stop him, And
everything is fun and games in hindsight, right? But it really makes you wonder, the Giants organization, like, one, you traded Saquon Barkley. That's what was going on there. Just for them to be in a relationship or non-relationship to say, hey, we need to trade you away. But you traded him to a team,
division.
Probably the greatest offensive line.
What's
going to happen there? And they're in your division.
My rule is I'm not trading within my division. It's no way, especially a great player. Now, okay, I might send you a special teams guy or something like that, but there's no way I got Saquon Barkley and I'm sending him to the Eagles. If I'm the Giants general, that's never going to happen. That's crazy. Now, if he's a free agent and he signs, I don't know, they traded him or was he a free agent? I don't know. But whatever the case is, I can't stop you if you're a free agent. But it's no way in the world, because I think the Texans got somebody from Jacksonville.
They might have been a free agent, yeah, I believe.
And you just mentioned that they got somebody from the Colts. Yeah, if these guys are free agents, okay, fine. But nah. See, I remember when even though this didn't really affect him, when Kawhi Leonard was dissatisfied with the Spurs all that time, and it was rumored that he was getting ready to go, they sent him to Toronto. But they didn't know that Toronto had a good enough team now built around him. They end up winning a championship the first year. So, but even if I'm the Spurs, that's cool. I ain't sending him to the Rockets. I ain't sending him to the Mavericks. You know, I ain't sending him to the Grizzlies. So, yeah, if you go to a whole other conference and win it, congratulations. But you're not going to knock me out the playoffs.
Right.
But not that the Giants was in the playoffs, but I still got to see this guy 2 times a year. You're not going to run for 450 yards in 2 games against me. You know, you're going to be playing for the Chargers somewhere if it's me.
I know that's right, man. Any more Texans talk before we move on? Of course, to the Astros. The regular season has already begun. Pitching woes, as we always complain about. I would say Altuve, though, is come out the gates hot right now, batting .350. They got him out in left field. I don't know how much of that's working or not working. They're about 4-5, I think, maybe 5-5. They won today against the Twins.
Yeah.
But pitching is not looking good.
These teams never learn. You have to. It's just like we just got through talking about the offensive line. Pitching is like the equivalent of that in baseball. Everything starts with pitching. So I watched Framber Valdez kind of fizzle out in the playoffs last year. I see Hunter Brown still kind of ascending but figuring it out at the same time. And you gotta shoot for the fence, man. And even the years where they didn't win the World Series, I always appreciated the fact that they would go out and get a Garrett Cole. They would go out and get a Zach Greinke, somebody like that. You know, even when they went out and got Verlander, when on the first run, you know, go out and make a splash with some top ace caliber guys, because this homegrown thing that they're doing now with the pitching is not working. In other aspects, it's cool. Hey man, you have to have pitch. You got to have guys. They won that game today 10-7, and they was down 7-4. You got to be able to, it's like basketball. You got to be able to get stops. And the pitching that's not going to get it. And we have gotten to the point now with the Astros where we've seen them in the playoffs 7, 8, 9 years in a row, either World Series or Division Series for the most part every year. That's on the way down. I don't see that this year unless they make a splash, because all things must end. But they still have the bats, but they ain't got the pitching. Not going to work. Even the bullpen is in.
It's that starting pitching, man. Like you said, like today, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. I think he gave up
1 inning,
4 runs in first inning. Like,
yeah, and they had a lot of that. A lot of that happened last year. You can't start. Man, look, that dude came out last year, and it's still early, but he came out last year and it was like, whoa, he's surprised this dude is pitching like an ace. You know, you only an ace when you sustain that kind of productivity. You can't just do it 1 year. Or it's like, nah. So I don't trust it, man. They need to somehow get rid of Lance McCullers, all this dead weight. The other guy, Javier. They got guys on the team and on the pitching staff that haven't pitched in 2 freaking years. You know, when these guys come, what is wrong with Lance McCullers, man? When is he ever gonna pitch again? So I mean, pitching, right. Clear that stuff out, man. This staff ain't gonna get it. If you think they're gonna win a World Series or make it to one with that staff, not gonna happen.
We will see, man. Like you said, this might be the end of their dynasty, or what we consider a dynasty. Like you said, we were deep in the playoffs. It's not the World Series, multiple years.
Yeah, 2 out of 4 with 4 World Series, 2 titles. And at any time of that, outside of that, it was the division time. You know, the year before last, gave that series away against the Yankees. I mean, the Rangers, they should have 3 World Series because they got past the Rangers up 3-2 with 2 games at home. They would have definitely beat who they played, the Diamondbacks. You know, so they could have had 3 and 5 in 5 appearances. But it's over, man. I mean, if you don't get that pitching right, it's a wrap.
Well, maybe they can rebuild, like you said, through the farm system or the draft, or
And that's
like you said, they need some big free agents. So maybe they'll get it cranked up again, get some big hard aces in here. Maybe somebody by mid-season. Maybe we'll see how well the record is, but it might not be. It might not make the playoffs. We'll see.
And it's early. And we got a long, got 150 something. But I'm just looking at, you know, trends and how things start off. You know, I watched the Dodgers start off 8-0, you know, and the winning teams are setting those tones early. You know, they got the pitching, they got the.
Hey, the Braves are 1-9 or something like that. I like to see that.
Yeah, you know, but you gotta if you are seriously talking World Series talk, which has been the MO of the Astros for the last 7-8 years, however long, you know, it's every year it's like these guys in the conversation as contenders. It just don't feel like that this year.
Yeah, a lot of the wind been taken out of the sails, but it has been nice to be an Astros fan for the past decade, right? That's lovely, but like everything has its time, like you said. But I think that's going to about wrap it up, man. Unless you got something we've left out.
No, man, go UofH. That's all I got. Go UofH, man. Let's get it on.
And again, if you have not already, subscribed to the Underground Dialogue podcast. You got to get some big guests coming up.
Man, you know, we're working on some stuff. You know, we're working on getting some people come in. You know, shout out to Chris Ward who came through the other week. But, hey, man, we just going with the flow, man. You know, we working on trying to get some names to come through Legends 34, you know.
Right. We still working on that.
In the mix, without a doubt. So, you know, we'll have some interviews and some guests for y'all real soon. But, you know,
any word on Cadillac?
Houston centric. Remember that.
Any word on Cadillac?
No, I need to check on Cadillac, man. I need to check on Cadillac. A lot of times, no news is good news in those kind of situations. But I will be giving them a call just to see, you know, how things are with them.
And for those that just tuning into the podcast, maybe your first time or second time, we've done some wonderful interviews. One of those was Cadillac Anderson. Man, what a memorable interview. For one, he was in the league in the era of the golden era of the 80s. Jordan, Barkley, John Stockton, Malone, the Pistons, the Bad Boys. And he just had so many wonderful stories, let alone he was in arguably, one of the greatest dunk contests in NBA history. And
another UofH alum.
Yes, who played along with the game
along with Byron Smith, UofH alum. So,
yes.
This is a great time, man. You know, it's all connected, man. It's all connected.
Well, I think that'll wrap things up. Again, subscribe. Drop a comment, somebody. Please drop a comment. Maybe some suggestions. But always subscribe, man, and tune in. I guess we'll see you next time on Legends 34, huh?
Yeah. Hopefully next time we'll be saying we'll have some UofH championship shirts on, man. Hopefully.
Yeah, fresh from the parade.
No doubt.
All right, we out, man.
Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
DJ Rec.